The New York Knicks, they are on a roll. 5 consecutive wins for the Knickerbockers, who will look to make it 6 straight on Saturday afternoon when they host the Miami Heat. We're going to talk some Knicks hoops. We're going to do it with the executive producer and pregame show host for Knicks Film School, my guy, Andrew Claudio. Andrew, what's up?
What's up, Dexter? Happy to be here.
Glad to have you here. Always good to talk some Knicks hoops with you. And Andrew, you know what we got to do. We always have to take a temperature check of the fans. Now, you and I got to let the people know, we were texting the other day, and you told me after the Knicks had beat the Nets on Tuesday that if the team swept the next 2 games against the Nuggets and the Heat, you said this to me, the fan base will be reckless with their projections. Well, people, the Knickerbockers, they had arguably their best win of the season, demolishing the Nuggets on Thursday night. And fans, like somebody we both know, New York Post sports podcast producer and host, Jake Brown, he called the Knicks championship contenders. He did tweet this. I saw this. Have the Knicks, this is the question here, Andrew, have the Knicks reached legit contender status, or is some of the fan base just doing too much here?
So the tough part about this question, Dexter, is to echo Jake and to echo a lot of us at Knicks Film School as we're trying to be measured in our analysis, is Thursday was the time to get reckless. When you're demolishing the defending champs by as much as the Knicks did and looking as impressive as they were, it was the time to really wonder what the ceiling of this team is. And look, there's always the part of me that tries to stay measured. And my honest answer is I do think they're going to need to make one move. Like we were talking before we went live here, that the Julius Randle question will come up during the playoffs, and you have to see if his performance lets you be a contender. But I think the one warranted, if you want to call it an overreaction, I'm just calling it a reaction at this point, is what they now have in OG Anunoby. I feel like I'm Tony Stark in the first Avengers movie talking to Loki, and in any team that the Knicks face, if they want to say, well, we have an army, we have OG Anunoby, and he's going to be able to help defend whoever the other team's best player is, maybe even able to shut down the other team's best player. And it's added a defensive ceiling to this team that I just have not seen since the 90s. Like even the Tyson Chandler Defensive Player of the Year season, team scored on that Knicks team. And so you wonder if they can get I do think they're going to need to make one move. I don't want to quickly dismiss Deuce McBride, who's been outstanding since being inserted into the rotation full-time after the trade. But I do have questions about him come playoff time and in a playoff rotation. So if you can upgrade that backup creator position potentially for the playoffs, or if Deuce just shows that he can be that player, I don't think it's that crazy to say that this is a team that can make the conference finals. A lot of teams, a lot of analysts said that before they made the trade. And the way that they get up for these big games, whether it's beating the Sixers by 36 or beating the Nuggets by 38, I'm not going to say it's crazy to say that this team now has that kind of ceiling.
All right, here we go. We're here. We're on this road now, Andrew. We're here.
Indeed.
Knicks beat the Nuggets. It's before they even played the Heat. And
well, so that's the real
contenders.
quick. That is the part about the Heat that makes it interesting. That's why I said it's these next 2 that matter. Because you beat the defending champs the way you did, that matters. Now go beat the boogeyman. Now go beat the team on Saturday that eliminated you last year, and then we can really get reckless.
Yeah. I can't wait for this. I'm here for the recklessness. I'm here for it all. We will see how reckless it gets by the end of Saturday. We'll get to that in a second. Now, Andrew, one can argue that we've seen some Knicks players play the best basketball of their career this season. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Isaiah Hartenstein, Dante DiVincenzo, and even in a small sample size, a guy you just mentioned, OG Anunoby. Should head coach Tom Thibodeau be credited with getting the most out of these players and getting the most out of his players overall in his 3.5 seasons as head coach of the Knicks?
So you're asking someone at Knicks Film School if we should give Tom Thibodeau credit. Did you pull this from the Jonathan Macri section of the SNY questions?
I did not speak to J Mac. I just understand some of the vibes around Tibbs and Knicks Film School. And, I'm not trying to be messy. I'm just trying to ask the right questions here. That's all.
Look, quibbles and all about rotations and minute distributions and some of the rigidity that he can bring to the game. You have to credit Tibbs. Like the entire culture of the Knicks has changed since he came here. I don't think you give him 100% of the credit, but part of the shift we've seen over the last 3.5 years is the personality, the identity, and just the reputation that the Knicks have improving. And around the league, there's no longer the LOL Knicks. It's like it's we need to respect this team. Now, could the conversation be better? Sure, but like the biggest thing about Tibbs that I give him credit for as far as maximizing the floor of this team, Jalen Brunson was a borderline starter his last year in Dallas. Now he's a borderline all-star starter in New York. Julius Randle was a journeyman that the Lakers just kind of released so they could make room for LeBron James. And he's made 2 all-star teams and might make a 3rd. Like Josh Hart seems to be maximized in his role. OG Anunoby seems to be maximized in his role. He has like been able to maximize some players, but I do think it's an overall collective effort by the organization, by the players buying in, and of course by the head coach. He absolutely deserves credit for not all the credit, but a lot of the credit for the success the Knicks have had.
Yeah, no, Tom Thibodeau's done a really good job there, and it'll be interesting to see about contract extension talks. I've talked with Stephen Bondi a bit about this, how that happens after the season and beyond, but we've got a long way to go until then. But right now, we got to talk about what you call the boogeyman. The Knicks, they host the Heat Saturday afternoon at the Garden. They lead Miami by 4 games in the standings right now. What are the keys to the Knicks winning their 6th straight game and knocking off the Heat on Saturday?
So this is where I'm going to plug the Knicks Film School pregame show that I did with Giancarlo Navas of the Miami Heat beat. And he did help ease some of my concerns, which are very much just PTSD related. I'd made the joke the other night on our post-game show that if the Heat had the same record as the Pistons, I'd still be nervous going into this game. That's just the respect that they've earned from me. Last year's playoffs went a lot with me. I thought going, this is an 8 seed that got lucky against the Bucks. We can absolutely defeat them. And what I think they have with Spoelstra, what I think the ceiling and how they get up for certain games with some of these certain players that know when to pick their spots. I have that type of New England Patriots respect for the Miami Heat. I'll just believe that we beat them when we beat them. Having said that, from conversations with people that have watched the Heat regularly, this is just not a good team right now. They're not scoring the ball, and they're like struggling to get to 100 points. And that really should speak to how the Knicks win this game. Since the OG Anunoby trade, so January 1st on, the Knicks are 2nd in defensive rating. Since that same date, the Miami Heat are 2nd to last in offensive rating. Like the Knicks are allowing less than 100 points since the trade. The Heat are averaging less than 100 points scored since January 1st. This is a team that shouldn't be able to score 100 points against the Knicks. And if the Knicks generate enough offense, this should be a W. Now you worry about trends and how a team winning 5 straight is facing a team losing 5 straight and whether something is due in either direction. But if the Knicks play the way they did against the Nuggets, and if the Heat played the way they've played at all over the last month, the Knicks should be able to win this game. And, like I said, key off start some recklessness from this fan base.
Yeah, we're just out here rooting for anarchy, which is recklessness in a situation which, if the Knicks make it 6 in a row, Knicks fan base is going to be pretty reckless. We can lock that in. But we will see interesting this game against the Heat, as you said. Knicks coming in winning 5 straight, Heat coming into this one losing 5 straight, and Andrew is just hoping that the Knicks don't get caught by the boogeyman. We shall see. That is Andrew Claudio, executive producer and host of the pregame show for Knicks Film School. Go check out his work there. Andrew, always good talking Knicks hoops with you, and I will check in with you later to make sure that you are not getting reckless.
I'll do my best. Thanks, Dex, for having me.
No problem, man.